Right, good morning. Right, good morning and welcome to this Development Management Review Committee. It will be recorded and posted live as well. Item 1, apologies and substitutions. We've got any apologies or substitutions?
Thank you, Vice Convener. Apologies from Councillor Duff. Apologies from Councillor Kenny Brays, substituted today by Councillor Chris Beattie. And we've also got apologies from Councillor Clark, who was the sub for Councillor Duff.
Any declarations of interest or statements of transparency? None. Minutes of
Sorry, Convener. Councillor Beattie, I think you made a statement of transparency at the last meeting.
Oh yes, for items, I think it's 5 and 6. Sorry, yes, it's for items 5 and 6. My employer is mentioned in supporting documents, but this is to do with her government work and nothing to do with the constituency office where I work.
Yeah. Right, item 3. So, sorry, Councillor Dorn, I'm not seeing you over the edge of the desk. Is you putting your hand up?
No, I wasn't. No, I was going to declare.
Sorry. Item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. Are they okay? Yep, they seem to be okay. Right, get round the page. Now, item 4. This is in connection with the coffee shop at Arbroath. This is to confirm that it complies with policies number 1, 2, 9, 13 of the NPF 4. The Class 3 coffee shop with drive-through facility at former Seaforth Hotel Arbroath and compliance with the NPF 4 planning application reference 23/00558 NPF 4 Policy 1, tackling the climate and nature crisis. This policy applies to all decisions that, in this case, the development involves a previous developed site which is being translated to a positive use, and the policy is therefore supported in this application. NPF 4 Policy 2, Climate Mitigation and Adaptation. There is no single accepted methodology for calculating emissions, but the overriding purpose of the proposal is to provide a Class 3 coffee shop that is within easy walking and cycling distance of residents of Arbroath, and well as visitors and tourists. The proposed building is significantly designed to be energy efficient and to meet the exacting and current building regulations. NPF 4 Policy 9, brownfield, vacant and derelict land and empty buildings. The application site is a brownfield, already developed land which is supported by this policy. NPF 4 Policy 13, sustainable transport. The application is supported by Transport System that there is no objections to the proposal from the road services. The transport statement assesses all sustainable modes of transport, and this demonstrates that the current walking, cycling and public transport is sufficient to accommodate the future demand from the proposed use. There will also be connections to the footway network, cycling, parking. Provisions and by implementation of the travel plan, the proposed are therefore supported by Policy 13 on sustainable transport. So I would say that this application meets the policies and therefore should be going through as these policies are relevant to the application. Is that agreed? Agreed? So that's...
Councillor Dorn's got her hand up.
Councillor Dorn, sorry, I'm very difficult to see you, to be honest.
Okay, no, don't worry. I was just going to raise on here because obviously we have discussed this previously, and there was a difference in opinion, and I brought forward an alternative amendment which did not get brought through. So I just wanted to check on procedures for this, because we've been asked to provide clarification and of how this this is now not refused. So we're upholding we're not upholding the appeal and allowing it to go through. But I am not in agreement with that. So I just wanted to know how I register it in this instance.
Yeah, you can register your dissent. That's no problem.
That's fine. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. So as it's agreed with 2 to 1, the application still goes through. Thank you. Sorry, I have to nick back to my pages. Right, item number 5, Meridian Street, Montrose. Now, we've all heard in the chambers, and then we all had a site visit. Does any of you require any more information on this site? Or,
I don't require any more information.
Councillor Dorn, you okay?
I was just going to ask around there was a hearing taking place relating to Scottish ministers, and I wondered if there was any information that could be brought forward around that.
Yeah.
He's online.
Right, sorry. Anthony McGuinness, would you like to come in with what they're saying?
Yes, convener. I'm just clarifying about what Councillor Doran means. Is it in reference to the case at that time it was going to a Scottish Government reporter?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to cover that in my minutes. I cover that in my short script when I take members back just through the presentation that was previously given just for it. So I will cover that for you in due course. But yes, I have information on that will update and inform you of your query there.
Brilliant. That's the only thing that I wanted to ask for. Thank you.
Right. We've been on site and we've looked at this place at number 4 Meridian Street, Montrose. The building, in my opinion, is no longer fit for purpose. We've had a presentation from him.
Yeah, but there's an update that's just been requested from Councillor Doran as well.
Right.
So I think you will need to allow him to do that, present the report.
Right. Councillor, Mr McGuinness, would you like to update on the Scottish Office report or whatever you want?
Yeah, I was just wondering if members, through you, convener, wanted me to just briefly recap on the previous presentation, or do members just want me to update on the situation that Councillor Doran wanted information on? I'm happy to go either way, convener, of what you want to do.
Yes, go ahead with that for Councillor Doran's benefit.
Right, I'll just briefly run through the presentation again for members, so bear with me while I share my screen. Can members see that? Okay. As members will be aware, when I stick this on slideshow, As members will know, the case in front of them seeks review of a refusal of an application from planning permission for the demolition of a building and erection of Class 5 and 6 general industrial warehouse at number 4 Meridian Street, Montrose. The proposal seeks the demolition of a Category C listed 670 square metre sandstone warehouse and its replacement of a new larger 1,250 square metres warehouse building constructed from concrete panels and metal cladding. The proposed building would be used for Class 5 general industrial and Class 6 storage and distribution uses. No water supply or public draining connections are required for the building. Members should be aware that a corresponding listed building consent application, number 21/00178/LBC for demolition of 4 Meridian Street was refused on the 19th of June 2023. This is noted in the report of handling in the front of the members for this case. This listed building consent refusal was appealed to the Department for Planning and Environmental Appeals, and the reporter upheld the refusal for the demolition of 4 Meridian Street on the 30th of November 2023. Both of the above points and reports are material considerations in the determination of this application, even though they are two separate applications. Planning history is a material consideration. I can confirm that I've had no previous involvement in the application and that I have no conflict of interest relative to this case, applicant or any interested party. I was also not in attendance at the site visit held on Monday the 15th of April 2024 for the accuracy of minutes of this committee. So I'm just going to basically take you back through things. So as members are aware of where there is, this is the location plan for the development for Meridian Street. As you can see, it's close to the road boundary and members will observe this on site. This is the existing site plan, as members are aware of. Existing south elevations, as you've seen and seen on site. Same with the north of elevations. And this was the existing floor plan. I'm not entirely sure if members were in the building or not, but that shows you the floor plan of the current structure. This shows you the proposed down takings of where it will be removed from, and what the proposed site plan is as the building is larger than previous. And it shows how what remaining walls are to be retained and so on and so forth. And these are in the packs I believe members have. Proposed south elevation of the new building. As members can see, the construction is different. Southwest elevation, again, members can see the construction is different and it's substantially higher. Northwest elevation again. Northeast elevation, just for consistency. Some cross sections of the building just showing the existing proposed gable and building in mass. So that's the existing building there. The existing building is in the dotted yellow line. Proposed floor plan, as you can see, it is bigger. And just some site pictures that members will have seen when they visited the site. This shows the northwest elevation of the current building from Meridian Street, from the port to the southwest elevation. Second point from the port, just a much closer view up, showing the date of the building and its construction and its design. The southwest elevation showing the length, and that's from within the port building, as members will remember on their site visit. Internal pictures showing the construction internally of the building, and that is me done, convener. So the case officer report, notice of appeal and other information is detailed in the papers in front of members, and I'm happy to take any other questions on anything I've raised today, but I hope that has been coherent for all members. Back to you, convener.
Thank you very much, Mr McGuinness. Has MD got any questions for Mr McGuinness? Councillor BT.
Just to clarify one thing, public, well, the port area is restricted access to the public, isn't it?
Yes, convener. For health and safety reasons, you would assume that when operations are going on, that the public are generally not allowed to be in with this due to health and safety.
Okay. Anyone who wishes to buy that building and reuse it has to really be connected to the port.
You would think so, that it would have to be an operation that would be connected by the port, but I don't have the information in front of me to, answer that. That would be any proposal would be determined on its own merits. So if it was a different building that wasn't connected to the port, then by all means they could submit a planning permission for that. Fine, but you would like to think that it would be in line with the port. However, I don't have that information to kind of categorically answer that either way for you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Dornan, you okay?
Yeah, thank you. I just had another question which relates to clarification. So essentially, if we were to approve this today, there's still the demolition notice and that the conclusion that was reached on that. So it would be that we could approve it, but that the demolition wouldn't be allowed because of that.
Yeah.
Ruling that's been given.
Yeah, through you, convener, I get where Councillor Doran's coming from this. It would be very difficult due to the decision of the reporter upholding the pool and the listed building consent, which includes its demolition, to allow that to go forth with this application, because they are symbiotic in that thing. The current application in front of you is also, looking at knocking down the listed building. There was a separate consenting and statutory process for that. That's been fulfilled. It's been refused by the council. It's always been refused by the DPEA. Therefore, there is a decision and a technicality for members here in that thing. If members were likely to uphold the appeal in current from, there is no conditions that we could apply to this consent that that consent which would be allow the current application to be implementable. It would be impossible to implement, and that is why conditions are very difficult in that line with the listed building consent refusal, and it's upheld at the DPA. So therefore, technically, you could approve this, but it would be unimplementable.
Yeah, because
due to the listed building consent application and its refusal.
Great. That was my understanding, and I wanted to confirm that would be the case. And I also note that within it there are other bodies like that would need to be notified because of the objections that they've given to this application as well. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Right, as the DMRC, we site visited the property. Personally, I thought the building has no longer of any commercial value, etc. But under the NPF 4 policy 7B, there are conditions that we can put forward for its demolish. Is the building no longer of special interest? Or is the building incapable of meaningful repair, which I would agree with? Or is the demolition of the building essential to deliver significant benefits and economic growth to the wider community? I would say that was prudent towards the docks. And is the repair or reuse of the building not of economic value? Again, I would agree with that. So I would say that our decision, well, my decision on the development standards is that policy NPF 4, policy 7B would come in and would allow the demolishing of this building and make the site more usable for the port authorities and the owners. Have you got any comments to that? Councillor Beattie.
Yeah, thanks, convener. Well, I mean, I think firstly, we have to remind everyone that we're councillors, we're not structural engineers, and as lay people, we don't have the expert knowledge that officers have and engineers have. But coming with many planning applications, the arguments to support both sides of the decision, and it's really down to us to make the best judgment based on the information presented to us. Now, we visited the site, we had a look at it, we saw the nature of the goods that's stored there and the nature of the vehicles that do the moving and handling and all that stuff. I absolutely take convener's point that this building doesn't really seem to fit in anymore with current activities in the port. There are questions in NPF 4 Policy 7B, and I mean, is the building no longer of special interest? Well, I mean, I wouldn't disagree that the building retains some special interest. Is it incapable of meaningful repair? Well, I mean, if you're prepared to spend as much money as you can on it, you can repair anything. We've seen buildings that were nothing more than shells returned to reuse, but I don't think this is one of those buildings. NPF 4 7B, it's pretty much hold on, here we go. We've seen that this building was originally a 2-storey affair. I mean, it's gone through a lot of changes. It's gone through a lot of reuse already. Most of the original doors and windows have been blocked up, and there's only 3 entry points to the building now. It's the size of the parts of the vehicles are much bigger than it was originally meant to. I think in the handling report it mentions it was originally stocked by cart. Can the building be reused? Yeah, but there's limits to who can use the building. We've just been told that it's not like the public can use that building because you don't have access to the port. So there are limits to that again. And there's also concerns over the safety of the building. If we saw the cracks in the walls and the bowing walls and things like that, I would hate to think that we might preserve this, but then someone comes in and accidentally knocks part of the building down. So I think if it was replaced by a modern building in keeping with the surrounding buildings in the port, it would add an economic benefit to the port. And I think that actually answers one of the questions, that it says in 7.4b that, is it economically viable to repair the building? No. Can it be reused? Yes, but not really. I would say that demolition of the site and a new building on the site would be much more economical for the port and just in general. I also think it also supports a policy, PV8, built on cultural heritage, policy TC12 for freight facilities as well. So I think there is support there within the local development plan and NPF4 to actually do something with this building, to knock it down.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Dorn, are you anything to say?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with lots of points that have been made. It's a frustrating site, I think, for the owners who want to use it for the industrial purposes. But I think on looking at the policies that we're working with within NPF4 and the local development plan, it just doesn't fit. And I think for me, the real challenging bit is that they haven't demonstrated that reasonable efforts could have been made to retain, reuse, or adapt any part of the building. We've got other proposals where that is taken into consideration, and in this one, it's not. And because of the extra information as well that we've heard about the challenges around demolition, I don't think with good conscience can go ahead with this one in its current state as we see it before us today. I agree with the decision that's already been made by officers on this one.
Thank you very much for that. Well, as person chairing this meeting, I would say that this building is no longer of any interest or any use, and I would go for the demolition of the building. Sorry.
I think the point that was made by the planning officer. Lawfulness of conditions.
Yeah, but I mean, why are we even coming to these meetings if this is the case? We are the Dmrc. We are working for the public in this area.
But it still has to be within the context of your law.
It's in the NPF Scottish Government's policies, and we've done the site visit, and we find that it's no longer up to standard or any.
I think it'd be worth taking a bit of advice from the planning officer on that one.
Well, I kind of disagree because.
Okay, it's your, absolutely convenient.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's.
I mean, my opinion is we are there as the Development Standards Committee. We are there to make a decision on this building. The crux of the thing is down to the demolition of this building. I would say, under the Scottish Government policy, NPF 4, number 7B, it is covered for getting demolished because it is of no longer of any use. And that would be our input into this, whether it has to go forward to another committee or not. I would say our decision is we would allow it if whether other organisations or committees would not uphold it. Any committee? Councillor Dorn.
I think actually I was stuck, but I just wanted to raise the fact that we have to make decisions that we can like legally uphold, and and I know that this is becoming quite frustrating within the committee around how we can do this, and we've seen that decisions are sent back to us as well, because the reasoning needs to be really solid of why we are able to allow something that has been refused based on the legal framework. It's not us just giving opinions on this committee of what we would like to see happen. It has to be based within the considerations of the planning frameworks and local development plans that we've got, and so we need to take that into context. Otherwise, it can't be realised and it can't be taken forward. So that's what I wanted to say on that.
Thank you very much. Mr. McGuinness, you've got your hand up.
Yes, Chair, I'm trying to be I'm trying to be of help here. Before members totally make their decision on this, I have to advise you that conditions have not been provided by Development Management, which is due to the refusal of the listed building consent application, and it's upheld on appeal by the reporter. And as a result, if conditions were to be imposed on this application, Development Management have advised they would be impossible to implement. Planning Circular 4/1998 of the Scottish Government might be helpful here for members, where it states planning conditions should only be imposed where they are necessary, relevant to planning, relevant to the development to be permitted, enforceable, precise, and reasonable in all other aspects. Development Management have stated clearly that they cannot provide conditions that meet the tests of the Scottish Government policy on this, and therefore there are no conditions in front of us due to the listed building consent application, which I said at the start is a material consideration in the determination of the application, both the Council's decision on that application and also the reporter's decision, which have not upheld the demolition of the listed building.
Thank you very much. Councillor Beattie.
Yeah, I'd like to know how we can get to a situation where we're looking at an appeal that we can't actually do anything with. How does that work?
Yep, sorry. In terms of the process, when an application is refused, the applicant is perfectly entitled to make that appeal and then try and persuade that there are significant grounds to allow a reversal of the decision. So actually, it's not a contradiction because the applicant has one view. The officers on the original decision had an alternative, and it's really just here to re-look at those reasons, and again, take into account all the material considerations. Sorry.
Yeah, but if we uphold the appeal, nothing happens. What is the point?
That was the point I was getting to. I mean, why are we here if we're not able to do anything? The building and the government policies, I would say we have the right to say it can come down. Whether we have the right to implement that or not, I don't know, but as the DMRC, the building is no longer of special interest, it's no longer economic value, it's no longer a lot of things, it's no use. And it should be reconsidered for getting demolished, and possibly the DMRC might put forward a recommendation that it does get demolished. That would be my opinion on this. And I would be, as it's in front of us as an appeal, I would allow the appeal as it stands. And then the legals can take it from there.
Oh, sorry.
Councillor Dorn, sorry, I couldn't see you again.
So I was going to come in on what are our options here, because I'm agreement with both of you on this as well. Why are we asked to discuss this if there is no way in which we can then make a decision on it? So what do we have any other options other than the kind of upholding or not upholding the appeal? But in the sense, we can't do one of those because of a decision that's been made out with of this DMRC remit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to what I said before. It's certainly within the gift of the applicant to make an appeal, regardless of what they believe to be the current situation. And it is a case of upholding or refusing the appeal. Those are the options based on the planning considerations and material considerations. So it probably feels strange that it's here being asked to make a decision where you perhaps feel your hands are tied. However, that is a normal process where there are two competing views to go to an appellant body. But those are the only two options you have, are to uphold or refuse.
Thank you very much for that. Well, I would, as chair, my proposals are to uphold the appeal, even though it may not be legal as such, and at least they can say that the DMRC was in approval of it, and the Scottish Office might then decide to pass it. But we're getting it put in front of us as a case which would have been normally passed, and because there's involvement from the Scottish Office, etc., we apparently have no powers over them. But my proposal is we would uphold the appeal, subject to whatever the Scottish Office and everything are wanting to do. Mr McGuinness.
Thank you, Convener. It's just to be absolutely critical clear for the decision notice of committee. Are you upholding the appeal in terms of approving it subject to conditions? Those are the two options. If you're approving it without any conditions, I would caution against that. If you're approving it with conditions, the conditions that would be imposed, I do not have in front of me, because development management haven't provided those for the reasons already given. And therefore, what we would have to do is seek further information from development management on what those conditions would look like, and bring that back to development management review committee for you to make your complete decision, unless the legal advisor disagrees with me. But that's my professional planning thing, that you cannot approve this without conditions, and those conditions need to be in front of you before you can actually approve this particular application, and any conditions that would be applied to this would be what we would call negative suspensive conditions or gramping conditions, i.e. they would be unimplementable. And therefore that goes back to my case of what I said planning conditions should be. They would be unenforceable, these conditions, and unimplementable. However, that is the view of committee, that is committee's decision to make. I am only here as the advisor, and that is the advice I would be given, unless the legal advisor has any other points to make or is in disagreement with what I've just said. Sorry, Convener.
Well, thank you very much for it. Under normal circumstances, I would pass it unconditionally. But due to these Scottish offices and the legal implications, we probably would have to pass it with some conditions. But I think it's a building that's going to be an eyesore, just of no use in the middle of an industrial estate. But I'm open to Councillor Beattie.
Yeah, I think this is hugely frustrating here. We've got a situation where, you know, I came here expecting to uphold the appeal, but it seems that if we do uphold the appeal, then we're no further forward, because the decision's already been made elsewhere that the building can't be demolished and reused. I don't think we should be doing stuff that is unenforceable. The planning officers have been quite clear that even if we do put conditions in, they might be unenforceable. It's hugely frustrating, I think. So I think I'm going to have to reject the appeal.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dorn, have you got an opinion?
I do. So I fully respect the point that you're making around being able to put forward a view here from the committee about what should happen regarding a building that we have been asked to discuss and assess and give an opinion on. However, I don't agree with holding this one. I would reject the appeal, so I'm going to go with that. That was my view on it. But I do think we've got a challenge here as a committee about how we are able to review things and make decisions on them that are so determined by other factors, and essentially being asked to discuss things and put forward a view that then we can't implement, which is we spend a lot of time discussing things, a site visit to review things, to make that decision, and then essentially the committee isn't able to make the decision that it might want to make. So there's 2 points to what I'm making, but on this, on the one, I'm going to reject the appeal on this one.
Thank you very much for that. I 100% agree with what you're saying. I mean, why are we sitting here going over it when it's a no-win case? I mean, it's ridiculous. We should be able to put our point forward, say, this property is not fit for purpose, it should come down, and get the port authorities or the owners or everything proper building there to use it. But I still would be inclined to go for it, though we've got 2 against and 1 for, but it would be on the strength that I was going on the appeal as such. The deeper into the Scottish office and various other things with this category C listed building, I think is something that's totally different. But when the Dmrc would have passed it, we should be able to stress that point, in my opinion. So I take your views, and obviously this appeal will be rejected. Thank you very much. Much to my discontent. Right. Councillor Beattie.
Yeah, thank you, Convener. Yeah, it just doesn't feel very democratic, that
No.
whole process.
So just for clarity, Convener, and for Councillor Beattie and Councillor Dorn, in terms of the reasons for the refusal of the appeal, is it in sense upholding the officer's decision in terms of the proposal, as they set out that the proposal was contrary to National Planning Framework 4 Policy 7, as was in the papers. Is that just to clarify the reasons?
For me, yes.
Yes, for me too.
Thank you.
Right. On to the next item, 1 to 5 America Street, Montrose. Again, it's a Category C listed building. Again, it is in the same position as the previous application. Again, in my opinion, it does fall in with the NPF policy 7B and meets the criteria for demolishing. But I'll leave that open to questions. Mr. McGuinness, do you want to do a presentation, or are we pretty well the same?
Yeah, I was going to say I'll be guided by committee and what they want to do with this one, but in essential, it's the same kind of, it's nearly the same kind of situation here, because the listed building, there's a corresponding listed building consent, as well as members are aware, which for record is application number 20-00599 LBC. This was refused on the 3rd of August 2023 by planning officers, and it's noted in the report of handle in front of members. Again, this listed building consent refusal was appealed to the Department of Planning and Environmental Appeals, and the reporter upheld that refusal for the demolition of 1 to 5 America Street on the 23rd of January 2024. There are slightly different nuances here, because there's noise implications for this, and also transport implication, and we do have a colleague from transport here as well. But it's the same situation we are in from development management's view on this, that it's the same situation because of the listed building consent refusal, essentially, Convener. So I'm happy to go through a presentation if members want me to do that, but I would be more or less saying the same thing in terms of the listed building consent, noting that there are noise and transport implications as well for this, so it's slightly different to the last case, but I'll be guided by you, Convener, and the rest of the members of what you want me to do.
Thank you very much for that. Again, I think our hands are kind of almost tied with this one again, but I'll ask for the opinions of my fellow councillors. Councillor Beattie.
I'm not too fussed about another presentation on this one. I think this one I was going to handle differently anyway, and I was going to uphold the, sorry, not uphold the appeal, I was going to reject the appeal, because I think the report of handling is much clearer on this one, and I think the background to this is much clearer, so I would be quite happy to reject the appeal on this. I might as well just get that out there now.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dorn.
Yeah, similar. I don't think we need the presentation again on this one, given that we're in a very similar situation. I will say that the site visit for this one was incredibly important, I think, relating to noise on this site, and also the location of this, which actually has kind of almost under some adjoining walls with private property and some outbuildings as well, which was useful to see. So I'm going to reject the appeal on this one. I think that's the way to go.
Thank you very much for that. Again, I'm showing my frustration with this coming in front of us again, where we're, as I said, our hands are tied. This shouldn't possibly not even be coming in front of us, because we're reading through pages upon pages. Then we, as Councillor Dorn says, we're going out on site visits, and then we're coming back here to go through it, just to be told there's nothing you can do about it. And some of these things have got to be sorted out, but also the councillors with the DMRC do have an opinion, and our opinion should be looked at as well as part of the failure or pass of any future thing. Thank you very much. And the officers, please don't think I've been picking on you or anything like that, but it's just the frustration of the dead-end kind of policies we're going down. And with the two councillors refusing it, I again would have passed it for demolishing and get the place tidied up, to be honest. But that's my opinion. And so this application will have to be refused. Councillor McGuinness. I keep calling you Councillor McGuinness.
I'm not sure I could do the job as well as all of you could, so I will decline that promotion, convener. Just for the clarity of the minutes, and although the legal advisor would ask the thing, are all three members in attendance today upholding the case officer's recommendations and reasons for refusal, just for the accuracy of the minutes? And if members want to, after the meeting is adjourned, just have a quick chat on the issues that they've raised today and how to handle them in future, I'm happy to stay on after me and just have that quick informal chat with members about how to handle this going forward. But if that's in case of just upholding the officer's recommendations, that would be all I need to for the minute of the meeting, for the minutes of the meeting, and also for the decision notes, if it could just be clear that that's what you're doing.
Thank you. Councillor Dorn.
Yeah, I wanted to just confirm that, yes, that those are the reasons why I wanted to reject the appeal, but I also just wanted to say thank you for all of the advice and support, because this is an incredibly kind of complex situation of different pieces of legislation and guidance, and how we have to make decisions here, which is making it harder, I think, for us to do that and navigate. And you've articulated that to us clearly today to help that within that. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dorn. Councillor Beattie.
Yeah, just briefly, yeah, I agree with everything that Councillor Dorn said there just now. So yeah, and for the exact same reasons as well. Thank you.
Contrary to what I've been saying, I do agree with what you're saying, and I do agree with the officers, but I do maintain the policy is all wrong, where it should be coming in front of us for a decision, pass or fail, and not coming in front of us to confirm a fail. It shouldn't be coming to us if it's going to be a confirmed fail. And a lot of work and effort of officers and councillors going into it, and I think it's ridiculous. But I personally would have passed it to get it demolished, to improve the area and get the thing moving on. So we'll take it that this application has been refused, and as per officers' recommendations. Thank you.
Is that as concluded
Thank
business?
you, John. That concludes the meeting. Can we start the live stream, please, John?